Hey everyone, I have something truly exciting today. Like always, this is going to be for the person or people who are wanting to change something in their life. They feel like their life is getting a little bit redundant. There's something they really want to acquire or to experience, and they've wanted it for a long time, and they just haven't been able to manifest it. They haven't been able to experience it, or they have been able to pull it into their field, but it never stays consistent. It kind of moves in and moves out, goes up and goes down. It doesn't stay locked into that particular place. So this is going to be for all of you who are in that space where you're ready to do a transition. You haven't moved much, or you keep going back after you make the move, and you really are getting frustrated with the fact, like, I want to move. So this is going to be an exciting group of reels for you guys. What I'm going to bring you guys into today is all about the loop of doom you've heard me talk about. It's about watching the patterns that you see repeat over and over again in your life, let's say, or in your parents and your grandparents. It's just like a lineage thing that you keep witnessing over and over again. It could be something that this has to do with the law of attraction. This has to do with manifestation. It has to do with everything, because everything's energy. And this has to do with your energy, the frequency codes that you're emitting out every single moment of every single day. And when I did my last group of wheels a week ago, it was all about the frequency fence. I really dove deep into wanting all of you to really grasp the idea, if you resonate with it, what the frequency fence is, how it was implemented into this matrix, how is it affecting all of us on a daily basis, so that we know how to get out of it. Like I shared in those reels last week, being in a prison and not understanding that you're in one is very difficult, because then you don't realize how can you get out of it? Is this just life? Is life supposed to be mediocre? Is this just my destiny? Because all you're looking through is like one spectrum of light. You're that fish, the goldfish in a 10-gallon bowl that's looking around and saying, is this it? Is this all there is? Because that's the spectrum of light that you're only available to see. That's the frequency that you're looking out from your soul, out of those physical eyes, and looking around, and your perception is giving you back that information. None of that is real. It's been a locked or phase locked frequency that we have been in, which I call the frequency fence. So the first step to freedom, and the first step of understanding how you can stop your repetitive patterns, manifest the life you want, get healthy, find your soulmate, is to understand that you have been locked up without your consent in an invisible prison, which takes place in your mind, your perception, your intuition, all of the invisible parts of yourself that, of course, you have never been taught, because there's no such thing as your visible side. There's no such thing as a soul, right? There's only the 3D body. Just to make sure that all of you understand that we don't separate anything, because we're all entangled. There's nothing separate ever, right? So we do need our physical body to work with our spiritual identities, so that we can change our reality and manifest through our own frequencies the life we want to experience, the health that we want to experience. It doesn't matter what it is you guys want. The loop of doom is put in place on purpose. The loop of doom is just a frequency code that's repeating the pattern over and over again. Fractal codes, because we don't understand the matrix. We don't understand our minds, because we were never taught the truth about who we are. This is why I've always said in all my reels, the most important thing is to know thyself, and it's not the meat suit. So it's always been my desire to share with all of you, to give you the context and give you the information of who you really are. And you decide through your own free will where you're going to go with that and what you're going to do. But what I find is the biggest thing that holds everyone back, and it was the biggest thing that always held me back until I got this, was I didn't understand what caused the loop of doom. I didn't understand why all my desires I wanted were never ever coming into my life. If they did, they were very short-lived. And why I just couldn't seem to break free from what my parents had, what my grandparents had, what all my friends had and their parents. It's like, why am I in this one little fishbowl perception? And yet I always keep hearing that there's people out there that are earning a lot of money, that have beautiful things, that live a life that's beautiful, not mediocre. And I couldn't understand the disconnect. So as I shared in the last reels about the frequency fence, what is the main thing that's happening with all of us? We're being fed through mainstream media a certain frequency, a very low one at that. It's all emanating out the same energy signature, which keeps every one of us thinking, acting, believing and just being at that level of signature. So nobody really desires to go out and do anything. And if they do, they don't really take it seriously. They stay in that loop. This is where I want to take you from here and move you forward. The loop is because of what we've been given. The frequency fence is a very low, dense, heavy frequency that doesn't really get us excited. It keeps us in a mundane type of energy and frequency, and we don't really think we can do anything else. We don't really think we can achieve all these things because part of the frequency fence programming is very low self-esteem. It's all about competition. It's about lack, that it is part of reality to live in a place where you're always desiring more money because you can't have it. And that money's hard to have, that you can't find your soulmate. You're just not meant to if you haven't found them by now. None of this is true. But when you're emanating and thinking from a frequency that's very low in that spectrum, you can only think equal to that. So anything that's low in frequency is going to be very low, non-inspiring thinking. So to pivot off it from my last bunch of reels, look at what we're spending our time and attention on mostly, most humans. We're watching mainstream everything, whether it's Netflix, whether it's watching TV and sitcoms, the commercials even are brutal. Especially the ones about medication, which seem to flash on there like multiple times in between your sitcom. You're watching movies on mainstream, you're watching movies at the movie theater, and then of course you're watching the news. Like I said last time, every single thing is done on purpose. They're all done in low frequency and they're all telling you a story. And we relate to it because we think that's reality. So this is why the loop of doom keeps occurring, because your frequency hasn't changed. You're living in a frequency ocean of all low, low, low frequency. How are you going to escape the ocean when you don't know that you're in this low frequency? This is what I mean about getting outside of the frequency fence. I'm sharing this information so that all of you who resonate with this can break free from it. And it's one decision away. It's not hard. It's effortless once you understand what has been going on all this time. So hold on, here we go. So how do you change your frequency? How do you get outside of that frequency fence and start to bring in and manifest what you want? Start to have the desires that you want. You have to do what I've shared before, is unplug. Literally unplug from the mainstream. It's like a plug that you're plugging into your body voluntarily that is sucking the energy out of there. It makes no sense once you wake up. So you unplug this energy vampire sucking cord so that you can allow your divinity, you can allow that life force energy to start being the more dominant force in your morphogenic field, in your being, than the plug that's been plugged in you, like Neo in the back of your neck, telling you all of these things. That is not true, and it keeps you all here. Okay, so we've decided, we pulled the plug out. Now what? Here's where the work will come in until you get it to be an automatic program. And an automatic program, what I mean by that is for you to allow you to be who you were meant to be. You've heard me say many, many times that this personality, this identity that most people have until they kind of wake up to this information isn't the real you. It's loaded in low frequency. You're a spiritual being. You're a divine being made in the image and likeness of whatever you want to call God, creator. So how are you just this? Right? So you take off the masks, you take off all of those illusions, and you allow your real self to come through. This is the effortless part. But the part to get to you being you is where we have to get more in tune with what we want and less of what we don't want. Sounds easy enough, but I don't know how many people take that seriously, that question. When I work with my clients, I ask them, what do you want? What is it that you want? As they're transitioning out of the prison planet, the mind prison, they're like never have decided or even daydreamed. They haven't daydreamed since they were a child. What do they want? Because they've been succumbed under the frequency fence for so long that you can't dream. You're not allowed to. You can't desire. You have no time to, because you're too involved in the program of being too busy, being too distracted, being too stressed, being too tired, and then you start your day again on repeat the next day. So when do you have time to even have the inspiration and the energy to look above the fence and say, I want this? So that is an interesting question that you literally have to ask yourself, as basic as it seems. What is it that you truly want? And you've got to make sure that you're coming from the truth. You're not coming from lack. You're not coming from ego so that you can look good for other people or you can be impressive and get people to like you because you have all these things. That's all low frequency, guys. I'm talking past that. When you've gotten rid of that, what do your authentic self want? And to clarify, you're allowed to want money. You're allowed to want nice things. You're allowed to drive fancy cars. You're allowed to want a bigger home. You're allowed to want to travel all over the world. You're allowed all those things if those are the things that you authentically want with not needing any validation because you have them. That is very, very important. But the frequency fence never allows us to hold on to those desires long enough to even consider that question. So this is what happens when you break free from the frequency fence. You're going to feel a little bit, in between zones here, and you're going to have to start to, collect yourself and bring yourself back home. And one of the questions is, what is it that I want? What am I here for? What do I feel my purpose is? And if you don't know them because you've never entertained them because of the frequency fence, you will figure those out. They will start to download into you because you've turned off that plug in you. You're allowing yourself to listen to your higher frequencies. Your higher identities are able to finally make it through the fence. It's been distorted, like way back when you would look at a channel and you weren't supposed to have that channel. You couldn't very well see the picture. It was distorted. This is what all of us have been emanating through with that kind of frequency until you realize and get out of it. That's what's really been going on. So now you got a clear signal coming through. You got a life force energy moving to and through you. It's going to feel overwhelming. It's going to feel exciting, but you've got to have somewhere to direct this energy. So this might start to resonate with some of you who do get this inspiration. You've broken free from the frequency fence probably many times over your lifetime and just didn't understand what was really going on. You either started a business, you either changed a relationship, you might have gone on a trip and thought of all these different ideas. You want to move to a different country possibly. And then all of a sudden, all of those ideas fall to the wayside. You just somehow hear in your head, no, I don't have time for this. You a fool to think that you can actually pull this off. Look around you. There's the big trick right there. Surround yourself around the frequency fence people and never ever try to go higher than them. So that's what we do. We compare and we go, okay, why would I have these huge dreams and desires when I look around and no one else is living them? Then I'm going to stick out. And who am I to think that I can do this? And then here we go. This is where I said in the beginning, you might see changes, you might make progress, but then you'll come back. It's never consistent. And this is because you're missing the piece. The frequency fence plugs you back in again without your consent. So you have to be able to be conscious of when the frequency fence is about to pull you back in. And how you know is when you hear anything or feel anything that is trying to stop you from where you want to go and what you want. So the way we've been programmed is that we'll have this huge desire, we'll look at somebody who has what we want, and we'll automatically want to be in that particular space right now, exactly where those people are that have exactly what you have, that you want. And this is where I said to you in the last reels I did, you cannot be somewhere that you're not energetically. Right? So if you're at this space and you're now in that beginning stages of saying, you know what, I'm out of the frequency fence. What is it that I want? You have to start from where you're at, which is this step right here. Where those people are that have whatever it is that you want, they've already done the growing and the evolving, and they've matched their frequencies to manifest what they have now. So this is where I want all of you to realize that you cannot look at somebody who has something and think you're going to get that now. Now, I'm not saying you can't collapse time and you can't, quantum leap. You absolutely can. But your energy and your frequencies have to match exactly what it is that you want. So you're going to get intuition. You're going to get downloads to take you on your way to your desire manifesting. You need to listen to them. Don't downgrade them and say, that ain't going to do it. That seems like such a small thing. That is the small step that takes you to the next step, and then it takes you to the next one. Now, we don't have to do linear things because this is not this is a linear 3D matrix, but where you create, there is no time or space. But you have to understand it's your energy. If you can switch your energy and it's authentic to be exactly the person of who you see have what you want, then you would already have it. The way we become someone different, guys, this is big, is when you change and do something different. This is so good because when you think about it, I don't want to go into all the programming that I've taught you about the false parent and the victim-victimizer programs, right? But how many people say they want to do something, say they want to have something, but they never do what it takes to get it? It's not that they're not capable of it. It's not that they aren't worthy of it, but they don't ever get it because they don't change. They don't do something that will get them closer to the frequency of what their desire is operating on. This is what I want all of you guys to get. This is just an illusion. It's a frequency game. But you have to do something, right? You have to physically do something, because guess what? The only way the soul evolves, the only way you learn anything is through experience. You can go read as many books as you want about how to get rich, or you can go read as many books as you want of how to swim. But you get in that pool, you're going to drown. You're going to flap your arms around because you don't have the awareness or the experience yet of what it feels like to swim. And this is exactly the way it is with money. It's exactly the way it is with finding your soulmate. There are so many people that I speak to that say they deserve and want this ideal soulmate. And they tell me everything they want in the soulmate. And then I turn it around and I say, do you have all of these qualities in you? And they're honest and they're not even close. You're not an energetic match for that person yet. It's how we do everything. This was part of the programming here. Don't take action, stay mediocre, stay just like everyone else. This is the sheep analogy, right? And when you do stick out, when you do share with people your big dreams, they laugh at you because they're programmed to believe it's impossible. You're just a fantasizer. Get out of your imagination and get real, right? Get real. This is the programming done on purpose so that anyone who wants to be different and do something different will definitely change their mind because of the repercussions they get from it. Whether it's when you go online and you start a business and somebody says something about your program or about you, and boom, automatically, because of what you got in your programming in the cells of your body, you're insecure or you're afraid of rejection or you fear, being laughed at or something. These are the things that keep us from growing, so that we will never manifest what we want because we're not doing it. Do you see how stealthy these programs are? But when you become conscious and you watch yourself say, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to quit. Well, know that you're quitting and not doing something to a false illusion. It was purposely given to divine beings to keep them from growing, but you don't have to go along with it anymore because it's false. It's an illusion. You can have anything you want when you take the actions that help you experience the next level. To match it and bring it in, and then match it and bring it in. We equal what we get, period. This is why through the law of attraction, if people say the law of attraction isn't working for me, oh, hell yes it is. This is where full responsibility comes in. If your outside world looks like a chaotic mess, guess what? That's what your frequency is emanating. That's what's in the cells of your body, and you need to shift. Oh, that stings. But you know what? We can't be victims anymore. If we want our life back, we got to act like leaders. We got to lead ourselves, and we can't fall victim to these illusional programs we were given that we're not good enough and that we're afraid of other people and what they think. This is ridiculous. You are here to expand and grow and live a life that's abundant, happy, healthy. You're not here to be slaves. It's a program that's in reverse, and the programming is going to start to disappear by choice. Okay, this is where you have to understand you can stay in this particular frequency fence, and when that split happens that you heard me talk about, go off into Phantom Earth, which is the hell planet, the pit. You guys have read about that. Or you can make a choice to evolve into New Earth. And the only way human beings can evolve is through raising their frequency. And the only way we change our frequency is by doing something outside of what we're doing now. Do you guys see the trick? They've maintained for like thousands of years. Humans don't move because of all these fear tactics, all these illusions. So they don't really grow or evolve. Their frequencies pretty well stay the same. They stay the same. So they never get what they want. This is why 1 to 2% of the collective of humanity have what we would perceive as a lot, and why 98 to 99% of humanity are struggling. This was done on purpose, guys. And once you break free from their games and their mind games and illusion, you start to work with the energies that you're already working with, and bring in what you want. But it always starts with you. So the context and what I'm sharing here, the whole entire point I want to drive home is this. Any one of you are watching right now who wants something different in your life, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. You are not a match for it yet because you have not changed. It's that simple. It's that simple. And when you understand how to get out from underneath the frequency fence, which I told you, you unplug. When you start to entertain those higher life force energies that have been coming to you for your whole life that you've ignored because of the fear programs, and you take the first step, you just do the first thing that you're afraid of, or the first thing that you're guilty of doing because someone might, make you feel bad. You have to understand that's part of blasting through the fence. When you say no, and you say, I can't do it because, as soon as you say because, understand you're back under the frequency fence. You're back under it. And this is what's so powerful is that when you understand this, you could recognize it and say, I'm not going to stay under the fence then. I'm going to do it. I don't care. I'm going to do it. Because you've heard people say over the years, especially in personal development, what's on the other side of the wall or other side of the door is your freedom. Okay, but not everyone understood what that meant. Well, think about it. You've been under a fence for your whole entire life and multiple lifetimes. It's Plato's cave again. You step out of the cave and you go out there. It's unbelievable what you're going to see and what's available to you. And understand this as well. You are not meant to know 3 steps from now. I think I've shared this to you guys in my past reels. This is where we catch ourselves. Well, I don't have my next 3 to 4 steps in place. You're not supposed to because you're not an energetic match at that place yet. So you couldn't pull in the information to help you 4 things ahead of where you are now. This is what keeps everyone stuck because our brain is like searching. What do I do? What do I do? And guess where your brain searches from? Your past. Oh yeah. So your brain searches from the past to try to help you to create a new future. Now look at that paradox. Your brain is only going to keep bringing you in what you've already had. It won't bring you in anything new because it's only scanning your past. So you can't create from your past. You have to create in the moment. And the in the moment is not in 3D. It's in the field. So this is what it's going to look like. You go to make a shift. You do it. You make the decision and you shift something. It doesn't even matter. You could change the way you dress. You could wear your hair differently. You could drive a different road to work instead of the same one. You're changing something up. You don't understand. It's like the butterfly effect. You have already shifted something in your frequency code. It may seem like no big deal, but it's shifting something. So this is the cause and effect law. What you put out, you are going to get back. If you shift anything in your field, something's going to change out there. Then you'll get some download. You'll get some inspiration. You might find yourself walking into a store and looking at a book. You might have someone talk to you about something and boom, it resonates with you and it takes you on the next one and the next one. You are always being divinely guided. You always are. So never think you don't know what to do. Just know that where you need to be now, you already know what to do because you're getting that desire to do it and you're hearing yourself say, don't do it. You don't want to make a fool of yourself. Don't do it. No one else is going to be successful. This is where when people say, Kimberly, I don't know what to do right now. You guys all know what to do. But in the back, you're hearing the program of the fence giving you every single reason why you can't right now. This is where you got to blast through that. And then once you get over there, you're going to get the knowing of what to do next. But here's what I said a couple minutes ago. You got to know what you want. You got to have a discern signal in your morphogenic field that the universe can respond to. If you're not sure what you want and you're flipping and flopping, that's what the universe will give you back. So this is where you got to start to seriously consider you. No one else, you. Because you have probably not put you first forever. And it's time you put you first. Oh my God, no, I can't do that because the programming in the frequency fence spectrum is I can't be first, especially a mother, especially a wife. I've got to put everyone ahead of me. My mom wants me to do this. My dad wants me to do this and I got to people please here. No. Paradigm illusion wrong. You are and we're never supposed to put anyone ahead of you. So many paradoxes that we have to break through. The frequency fence encompasses so much bullshit, it's not funny. We all have probably heard this too. If we're energy and we're around people, people are going to feel our energy. So how good will people feel around us when we are absolutely drained, when we are miserable, we're sucked dry from people pleasing, feeling bad, guilty, tired, doing everything for everyone else, and then they're around us and they're like, feeling like, ooh, and you're like, oh my God, because you are not operating at your highest potentiality. You're drained. That is part of this matrix. That was part of the frequency fence. Because when you're drained, you're not inspired, you're uninspired. When you're drained, you have no energy left to even think about doing anything different. How perfect is that to stay under the fence? Just drink, just eat, just go shop and get more in debt. And guess what? Go back to bed and get up the next day and do it again, please. So many paradoxes that we have to break through. The frequency fence encompasses so much bullshit, it's not funny. We all have probably heard this too. If we're energy and we're around people, people are going to feel our energy. So how good will people feel around us when we are absolutely drained, when we are miserable, we're sucked dry from people pleasing, feeling bad, guilty, tired, doing everything for everyone else, and then they're around us and they're like, feeling like, ooh, and you're like, oh my God, because you are not operating at your highest potentiality. You're drained. That is part of this matrix. That was part of the frequency fence. Because when you're drained, you're not inspired, you're uninspired. When you're drained, you have no energy left to even think about doing anything different. How perfect is that to stay under the fence? Just drink, just eat, just go shop and get more in debt. And guess what? Go back to bed and get up the next day and do it again, please. When you break over that fence, guess what? You become the leader of your life. You are responsible for everything in your life. You no longer can go back. It's like an elastic that's been stretched and cannot go back. You cannot go back, right? And have people tell you how to be, what to do, when to do it. Because when you want to raise your frequency and bring in something different in your life, you need to lead yourself from the authentic self, not the false one. Because the false one, my friends, are going to continue to bring you what you have right now. That's purposely done. So you have to lead from who you are. And you might have to go back and remember who you are. But it won't take long when you remove yourself from these low frequencies, because those high ones have always been there. We've just ignored them. You're never alone. You know what to do next, and you will be successful. I promise you, if you're leading from your authentic self, not from a phony self, not from someone who wants attention or validation. Pure authenticity is where everyone wins. Why is that? Oh, let's go back to frequencies, because the frequency isn't distorted. It's not a chaotic frequency. It's a pure divine frequency, right? It's orderly. When you have an orderly frequency, when you have a frequency that is not in dissonance, it's in resonance, right? It's in harmony, not disharmony. What can you bring into your life? Whatever that is in harmony with, right? So this is where you have to understand all of this is frequencies. Coming from a disconnected frequency is going to bring you a lot of disconnected experiences. So remember, it starts from peeling off the idea that you're a meat suit. You need to go back further than that and look at yourself as a ball of light vibrating on these beautiful colors. And it's emanating out frequency codes into the universe that the universe is responding to. It's not personal. The universe doesn't see a meat suit of a human being. It's equaling the vibrational codes that this particular beacon is sending out. Does that make more sense? So don't look at this. This is only the 3D you. You are that huge ball of light when you're an avatar in a rishi. You are a divine being. So you're emanating out codes. You are responsible for what you're emanating out. So you don't live from out there in. You have to live from in here out. You choose from in here what you want, and out there will bring it to you. A spiritual being has no fear. A spiritual being who knows who they are in multiple dimensions and is starting to remember doesn't walk in fear. It leads itself in faith, trust, and a whole shit ton of energy moving to and through them that they've never experienced before, because the frequency fence stopped it from coming through. It's an exciting, it's exaggerated, it's perfect. It's an amazing feeling to get there. Okay? And the energy that you have now in the body is incredible. You're not tired anymore. Because before, when you're under the fence, your body is in survival mode. So if anyone understands the fight or flight in any way, shape, or form about what it does to your biology and the chemistry in your body, you're running from a tiger, right? So your body is constantly stopping the flow of energy and blood to your brain and to the parts that create and think, and they're constantly putting it through your arms and legs to run away. Well, what good is that when you're trying to change? We're not beings that should be running from anybody any longer. We stand in our own strength of who we are, and we just move forward from there. Totally different experience than being held under a frequency fence with so many lies, how inferior we are, and that we need people to save us, and that we should never desire more than the minimum wage we make now in our life, and living paycheck to paycheck is acceptable and normal. No, it's not. And it's not like that when you get outside of that fence. No, I wanted to bring another piece of the puzzle to this now that I finished that part. I want to talk about Ascension. I want to talk about what's going on with the stellar activation and understanding of the frequency fence had multiple purposes. When a human being doesn't do anything new, they live the same mediocre life, they come back and do it again. And we've been hearing these rumors that it's because these poor humans are bad. They sin all the time and they have to be punished. So we make them come back and learn from their mistakes. Well, I know this is going to trigger some people, and I don't care. Because guess what? A loving, unconditional God doesn't punish his offspring. So no, you're not being punished, and no, you're not coming back to continue to learn lessons. Let me explain to you exactly why the reincarnation happened in the first place. I mean, I'm so tired of the guilt and the fears and all this stuff. When you get above that frequency fence, you look at all of the lies that you try to tell a divine spiritual being they are, and it's ridiculous. It's absolutely crazy when you look at it from this perspective. So there's the guilt. There's the lies that you're bad, that you're sinning, that you have to come back because God's punishing you. So fear God. Okay. The reason why the reincarnation even started here, and there's a whole history that I can't get into in this one, but let's just cut it down to this. When we do not grow and evolve as spiritual beings, we don't accrete energy. What that means is when you ascend because you expand your frequency to higher amounts of frequency, that once you finish dimensions 1, 2, and 3, when you can ascend into dimensions 4, 5, and 6, you match the frequency of 4, 5, and 6. Okay? The reason why we're reincarnating over and over again is because we never get our frequency levels ever high enough to get into dimensions 4, 5, 6, and even higher. So we just keep cycling back on the prison planet because the frequency fence has kept all of us humans living in very distorted low codes. I mean, look at the earth now. It's just chaos, right? People hate each other. They're insecure. There's warring, there's fighting, there's judging, all of the programs that came with the frequency fence. None of those can exist in higher levels of frequency or higher levels of dimensions. So that is the reincarnation. The lesson isn't because you're bad. You need to keep growing and evolving as a spiritual being so that you can accrete enough frequency to expand into the next dimension. So you've heard me share many reels. This is a spiritual war. There's so many things going on in the invisible realms that because humans don't remember and they don't talk to you about it or to teach you this, you don't understand that your enemy's coming at you in invisible ways and you're walking around wondering what's going on. So this is where the frequency fence programming is, where the reincarnation, of course, they have to make it always about you being bad, something negative, so it keeps you in that level of consciousness. But there's a twofold thing here, because they never wanted humans to evolve. This is why, if anyone's done any research, we've always found out that we have been tampered with. Our DNA has been tampered with. They have tried to stop human evolution since Atlantis because they don't want humans to evolve.